Robstar gang, what up? What up? It's been a while, man. It's been a while since I've been live. Like it's been not that long. It's been what? Since the 30th. So it's been a couple days. It's been about over a week since I've been live. It's been but we've been posting videos, man. I've been posting content constantly. If you haven't been catching the videos, I don't know what you're doing. But it's been a while since I've been live. But we're gonna get back into the live streams. I just wanted to test out how you guys like the pre-recorded videos and stuff like that. I probably will still do them, but I think I'm get back into obviously some more live streams. But obviously, I'm gonna still be pumping out content. Obviously, the Super Bowl was this past weekend, and then I had a bunch of family coming to town this past weekend and stuff like that. So, um, and we had some friends coming to town. So it was a lot going on. It was a lot going on. And so didn't really get a lot of as much content as I wanted to get last week, but we're going to get back on the ball this week. Just to be honest with you, I was going to get some content out yesterday, but your boy was a little hung over after that Super Bowl. Not going to lie. Your boy had a little bit of too much fun on the Super Bowl. So, because I bought a projector, bought a bunch of food, some wings. So hopefully everyone enjoyed their Super Bowl. Hopefully everyone got to watch it. Again, it was okay. It was an okay Super Bowl, I'll be honest with you. It wasn't the best one I've ever seen, but you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. What's up, Zach? What's up, Anthony? What's up, Sean? What's up, Marcos? Where you been? I thought I was gonna have to put, dude. Y'all, I told y'all I was gonna be doing more pre-recorded videos. Y'all gotta check the pre-recorded videos, man. What's up on Ground West? I told y'all. Told y'all about the pre-records. You know what I mean? Know what I mean? Yeah, the Super Bowl was lackluster for sure. Probably it was definitely it was. It is what it is. Drake May proved me right though. Just gonna be honest with you, I think Drake May is basically Trent Dilfer 2.0. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. Hey, but shout out to for Drake to making it. I'll say that. Shout out to Drake for making it. Drake May making it. But again, I knew it was coming, man. I knew it was coming. When I watched Seattle's defense, I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. So all right, let's get into this, man. We got a lot of stuff to break down, some critical dates, some roster holes we really need to talk about, and then the path to the Super Bowl, things that we need to do or we need to have happen. All right, not necessarily this offseason, not only in just this offseason, but this upcoming season. All right. Again, we have a little bit of a reality check right now because every offseason, all of us NFL fans fall for the stupid, like, same, like, fantasy. Like, we're good now, so we're just gonna keep being good. Okay, that's not how this league works. Okay, I want to be transparent with you guys. The idea of if you think that way, if you think that is comforting for you, you're completely full of shit of yourself. Okay, the NFL is designed to tier teams. Okay, if we're just being honest, the NFL is designed to tier teams apart the second they show signs of life. Right? Free agents chase money. Younger players demand snaps. Veteran age out. Like, contracts explode. Suddenly, half your roster is wearing different colors. Okay, staying competitive isn't just hard. It's visually harder than the climb itself. Plenty of teams figure it out once. Every few do it twice in a row. Roster turnover is unavoidable. That, like, you can't keep everyone. The salary cap makes damn sure of that. Development timelines don't line up neatly. Breakout players force into uncomfortable decisions, right? Then you got depth guys. Depth guys price themselves out. And then before you know it, chat, the whole team that finished strong in January looks nothing like the one that reported to camp in August. So That's exactly what most teams are going to be dealing with heading into this, obviously more into this postseason, us included. When we take the field again, they're not going to be a perfect clone of last year's team. That's just the reality. Anyone expecting a carbon copy is just lying to yourselves. I just want to go ahead and get that out there. Okay. The difference for Carolina is that that change isn't dangerous. Okay. For bad teams, turnover is the point, right? You want chaos when you're rebuilding. You want competition. You want turnover. You want experiment because nothing worked before. But once the team finally finds that traction, once that system kind of starts clicking and players actually know what the hell they're doing, too much change can just nuke the whole momentum fast. Okay. So chemistry matters, familiarity matters, continuity matters more than the fans like to admit. Losing wrong guys at the wrong time, you don't just stall. You quietly take a step backwards. You don't realize it until November. That's the trap the Panthers didn't fall into. Okay. Here's the thing. You look at all the free agents, right? And I'm going to pull something up here real quick. Give me 1 second. Where is this at? There it is. All right, so we're going to use this stick to the model. If any of you guys have ever seen this before, it's pretty sick. It's pretty sick. It is pretty sick. All right, so when we look at this kind of stuff, man, we have 18 free agents set to hit the market. So if we go to our, hold on, let me get all, because you can manage cap. This is what you call your GM model. Okay, this is the GM model for Stick It. But as we go down here, we got pending 26 free agents. Okay. On the surface, that number looks pretty scary. I think we're down to 18 though, because I'm pretty sure we've already cut some guys, if I'm not mistaken, maybe not. But on the surface, that number does look scary. 26, 18, whatever it is. People see a big number and immediately assume that chaos, right? Like that's a lazy analysis. When you actually break those contracts down, who played meaningful snaps, who drove production, who mattered on Sundays, the picture changes fast. Most of those free agents are depth players, rotational guys, role-specific contributors. Useful, sure, but most of these guys are replaceable. Now, there's some of them that I would say aren't, because there are guys that are on free agents that you want to bring back, in my opinion, Cade Mays, for example. But when you weigh retention, right, by actually impact instead of raw head count, Carolina is really kind of sitting at a very comfortable spot, because on a contribution based on the retention scale, you factor in the snaps, you factor in the value, you factor in the real on-field importance, right? The Panthers land right in the league's sweet spot. They're grouped with teams like Jaguars and the Broncos, franchises viewed as being on solid competitive footing, for example. Okay. They also are in the same neighborhood as the Seahawks and the Packers, teams that stay relevant because they don't panic or blow shit up every time the calendar flips. And that should matter to most of you fans than you realize, because what it means bluntly is that Carolina isn't about to sabotage itself by bleeding out core players or forcing massive system changes. Okay. The locker room isn't resetting. The coaching staff isn't starting from square one. The identity of this team, because the stuff that actually wins games is still intact, right? Start with the defense, for example. Derek Brown is still your anchor up front, right? Wrecking pockets, still demanding attention inside. You got J.C. Horn is still locking down one side of the field, giving the secondary built-in advantage every single week. right? Mike Jack remains in that mix on the back end, preserving that communication, continuity, and coverage, right? That's a defensive foundation. A lot of teams would sell their souls for that, right? Offensively, you go look at the offense, right? The stability is even more when we look at the offense. All right. The stability is even more important and more intentional because Bryce comes back with another full year, okay, of experience, which matters more than any flashy free agent signing. Quarterbacks don't develop in chaos; they develop in systems that they understand. Okay, and the ones that players, trust. Right? Teneral McMillan, Jalen Coker, returning familiar targets, who already know, right, what they're getting themselves into. Okay, they already know the offense, the expectations. That's a huge timing and confidence and execution. Up front, the offensive line avoids becoming a mad science experiment, right? Where Robert Hunt, Damian Lewis, Taylor Moton, all going to be back, which means the protection schemes don't have to be reinvented, right? That alone saves weeks of growing pains in the backfield. Chuba Hubbard returns as a reliable, proven option who doesn't need to relearn the assignments, okay, or adjust to new coach language. Again, when you look at our roster, man, this isn't a roster returning, it's identity returning. That doesn't mean that Carolina still is just sitting on its hands. They're going to draft. They'll add some selective free agents, right? They'll bring in competition where it makes sense. They're going to upgrade depth where it's needed. That's normally health roster building. Some of those additions might even grow into long-term contributors. Now, here's the key. Those players, okay, are being layered onto functioning core, not asked to replace one. Now, that's how teams actually get better. By stacking development on top of continuity instead of resetting the damn board every offseason. And excuse me, my allergies are fucking killing me because of this weather. But after taking a real step forward, I think that we avoid the most frustrating outcome possible, right? Progress followed immediately by regression because of cap hell or bad timing, whatever the case may be. There's no mass exodus coming. There's no ugly, we can't afford heartbreak yet. No catastrophic cap decisions right now forcing our hand. The bottom line is Carolina didn't just improve in 2025. They built themselves a runway for 2026 without lighting it on fire. All right. We're going to use this stick to the model at one point this week. I'm going to do a live stream, and I am going to be the GM of the Carolina Panthers, and we're going to go through cap management. We're going to go through some trades. We're going to go through some free agency. We're going to go through the draft, and I'm going to break it all down piece by piece. All right. So this was just a little preview. Okay. This was just a little bit of a preview. Going through this model. Just wanted to kind of show you this, but we're gonna do a breakdown of this as me going through as a GM, and I'm gonna break down the cap. I'm gonna break down trades, free agency, and draft, and we're gonna use this called Stick to the Model. If you want to check it out, just go type in Stick to the Model on Google, and type in NFL Stick to the Model, and it'll come up on Google. So go check it out. All right. Guys, make sure you pound that like button, hit that subscribe button on the way in. I would greatly appreciate it. I know I haven't been live in a while. I'm glad that we got some people in here. I appreciate you guys coming through. So make sure you pound that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and make sure you click that post notifications bell so you don't miss out on any new content. Good Lord, guys. I'm over here struggling. I am over here struggling. All right, let's pull up some important dates we need to go over. And we're going to break this down. We got some big dates coming up. There he is, Mr. Field Yates. I need to find the tweet. Okay, important dates. We need to go over this, at least from my standpoint. All right. Yeah, Marco's Cash, stick to the model is pretty sick. Pretty freaking sick. All right, so these are the biggest upcoming dates for us that Panthers fans need to be aware of. Obviously, you got the franchise tag window opens on February 17th. For the Panthers, this is one pretty straightforward. They're not using it, so you won't have to worry about that. There isn't a single outgoing free agent on Carolina's roster who makes sense at a franchise tag money. Not even Rico Dowdle, who's easily the most notable name in that group. Paying top of the market, fully guaranteed cash just to retain someone short term is a bad business for where the team is right now. All right. That said, this window still matters a lot. Okay. Because what Carolina does need to track is who around the league gets tagged, right? Like once a player gets slapped with that franchise tag, they're off the market. So, for example, if the Panthers have any interest in someone like Kyle Pitts, this is the period where that dream could die fast. The same goes for plenty of other potential targets who may never reach free agency at all. Okay, so even when you're not tagging anyone, the tag window reshapes the entire board. Okay. All right. So that's number one. Next one is the NFL Combine. Of course, we all know that. February 23rd to March 2nd is going to be fun. That's going to be an interesting time. NFL scouting, man, this is where the real homework starts. We've already kind of started doing some over here on here, but the NFL Combine kicks off on February 23rd, and I know a lot of us fans tend to obsess over the 40 times and bench reps and team care about everything else just as much. Interviews, medicals, movement, drills, right? How prospects carry themselves, right? In a professional environment, of course. But this is a massive week for us. Okay. They'll get extended access to hundreds of draft prospects, being narrowing down who actually fits what they want to build. Okay. This is where first impressions are formed. Red flags get uncovered here. Draft boards start to take real shape. You don't draft players at the combine. You absolutely screw up drafts if you ignore what happens there. Okay? That's all I'm going to say about that. The next big day, the legal tampering window. This is where free agency actually really starts, ladies and gentlemen. Even though the league likes to pretend it doesn't, the legal window opens on March 9th. So what that means, it allows teams to negotiate and agree to contracts with free agents just without putting a pen to paper yet. So this is where the biggest deals are usually decided, even if they aren't announced. So we already know how important this window is, okay? This is like the same thing that happened last year when we missed out on Milton Williams in the past, right? But we managed to line up Turk instead. Okay. So those early hours can completely alter an off-season plan for better or worse. All right. If we want to be aggressive in free agency, this is where it'll happen. That's when you'll start seeing these rumors of Carolina's talking to so and so, whatever. Hesitate during legal tampering, and you're left shopping the clearance rack. This is the time where Dan Morgan's going to have to be aggressive, right? You don't want to be left behind shopping at the clearance rack by the team deals before become official. Okay? Plain and simple. Plain and simple. All right, the next one, of course, is free agency. Free agency begins. All right. Free agency begins March 11th, 4 p.m. That's when it officially begins at 4 p.m. Everything becomes real. Contracts can finally be signed. Numbers are locked in. Press releases goes out. And whatever was agreed to during legal tampering either gets finalized or then it blows up in the last second, which we all know how that worked out because Milton Williams blew up the last second. This is when the roster actually it starts changing. Cap space gets spent, needs to get filled or exposed, but the blueprint for the draft becomes clearer through this time, right? This is also when bad contracts happen if teams panic. Panthers need to be decisive without being reckless, which is easier than said than done, especially when that clock is ticking and agents are pushing hard. So, again, then we've got the NFL draft. This is the biggest one. April 23rd through the 25th. NFL draft runs from there. This is the centerpiece of your offseason. Yes, we have some cap. Yes, we have some cap space. Yes, we'll add some free agents, but we have to consistently show that we want to build through the draft first, right? These 3 days, again, will define the roster more than anything else. This is where Carolina will do the bulk of its work, adding starters, depth, long-term solutions. All right. Instead of overpriced short-term fixes. Every move before the draft is really just positioning for these picks. Okay. Get the draft right. The offseason is a win. Okay. Screw it up. No amount of free agent spending will save it. We've seen that time and time again here in Carolina. Okay. All right. It's just being honest. I'm just being honest. All right, let's get into a couple things here. Let's talk about what Carolina has to get right to reach that Super Bowl. Let's talk about what Carolina has to do it right to reach that Super Bowl. And then let's also talk about the to-do list, the biggest 3 problems that Carolina cannot ignore. All right. All right. Appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Do me a favor, make sure you smash that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. All right. Now, here's the thing. Bryce Young. Hold on one second. Pull him up real quick. Let's talk about Bryce real quick. Bryce, if we want to win achieve a Super Bowl, he has to keep climbing. He cannot plateau. You got to give Bryce credit first. In 20, again, I'm going to give him his credit. He finally looked like a quarterback trending in the right direction. Posted career highs across the board. 63.6% completion rate. Over 3,000 yards, 23 touchdowns, and an 87.1 passer rate. So he also delivered in some real-time moments, breaking the the franchise single game passing yards record in week 11, nearly knocking off the Rams in a wild card game that came down to the wire. That matters. Those also aren't empty stats, but here's the uncomfortable truth, ladies and gentlemen. Good stretches don't win Super Bowls. Consistency does. Bryce Young threw for under 200 yards in 12 of his 16 starts. He finished with a passer rating of 90 or higher only half of those games. That's not bad, but it's not elite. It's not reliable enough to keep those deep playoff runs. I'll tell you that. If Carolina wants to trust him in January football, he has to flatten the lows. What I mean by that is that may mean that head coach Dave Canales loosens the offense a bit, right? Lets Young push that ball more. But at the end of the day, the quarterback has to make the leap himself. The flashes are there, but now he has to prove that he could show up, every damn week. I have to see that, right? I think another thing for us, if we want to make that push, is that the offense needs a true big play problem for defenses. What I mean by that is Bryce Young would also, I think, benefit from having someone who scares defenses on contact, not just on third down. Like Carolina tried to solve this in 2024. They traded up for Xavier Legette. So far, that gamble hasn't paid off. Drops, awareness issues, general inconsistencies have kept Legette from finding his footing at the all-pro level. I know I heard him on Cam's show saying that he wasn't getting set up. What's up, Trizzy? He wasn't getting set up, but the Panthers did, however, absolutely nail their neck swings, right? Tedero McMillan, AP Offensive Rookie of the Year, right? Looks like, again, the foundational piece of this offense, one of them at least. Jalen Coker, an undrafted free agent in 2024, turned into a legitimate contributor. Those are wins, but neither is a true home run hitter. The offense still lacks a receiver who specializes in chunk plays, someone who can take the top off coverage or turn a short catch into a nightmare after the catch. That's where things have to change for me. Whether that means they pay real money for someone like an Alex Pierce, right? If they go out there and pay for real money for an Alex Pierce, I don't know if they'll go do that. I don't know if they'll go out there and pay money for an Alex Pierce. I'm not so sure that's going to be the case, right? Or maybe they burning more draft capital in the front office has to add speed and explosion, right? I don't know. At some point, you need a guy who can flip the game in 2 snaps. Carolina just doesn't have that. All right. Let's talk about this guy right here. I mean, we're talking about Rasheed Walker. Why am I bringing him up? Because the left tackle is one of those positions you don't appreciate until it's gone. And Carolina found out the hard way. Ike Ekwonu went down with a torn patellar tendon on the second offensive series of that playoff loss to the Rams. All right. And that's a brutal injury. And again, that recovery time is a murky at best. Realistically, we have to prepare for the possibility that Ike Ekwonu chat won't be available for that 2026 season. And even if that's overly cautious, you cannot afford to assume anything otherwise. All right. The most obvious in-house option is Josh Neischmann, who filled in competently, I would say. But there's always a catch. Here he's a free agent. If we want that solution, they'll have to re-sign him first. Dan Morgan may also look towards the draft. Offensive tackle is already on the table in 2025. I would not be shocked to see if we go out there and attack it early in 2026. Okay. Either way, Bryce Young's blindside can't be held together by duct tape. Okay. It has to actually exist. The next thing that has to happen actually, I'm going to go back. Let me go back to this. So here's my next thing. We got to stop acting like pressures. We got to stop acting like pressures is the only thing that this team needs. I'm so sick and tired of hearing from Carolina Panthers fans saying, well, we're getting pressures. I had an argument on TikTok with a nobody, because that's who he was. Because once I told him, once basically we saw how the season went with the whole pass rush and the pressures, and I basically proved him wrong, he just started talking shit towards me, and because he got upset. Because a lot of people are like, oh, well, we got pressures. We're getting pressure. We're getting pressure on people. Pressures don't matter, man. They don't matter. It only matters if you're closing the deal. If you're closing the deal, great. That's great. What is going on here? I don't know why this isn't showing up on my page. That's weird. That is weird. All right. It's all good. Never mind. Maybe a middle linebacker. I'm just going to read off some stats, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it because we're going to look at this, obviously. Team total sacks. In 2024, the Panthers tied for 33rd fewest sacks in the league, 32. And posted the lowest pressure rate of 16.2%. 2025, things barely improved. 30 sacks. Again, tied for third fewest. The second lowest pressure rate, again, in the NFL. 16.5%. That is just mind blowing. You know, it's mind blowing because that's not just below average. That's a problem. There are reasons for optimism. Okay. I think there's reasons for optimism for especially with Nick Scorton. Had a strong rookie season. Tying the team lead with 5 sacks. Third rounder, Princely Monument, flash potential in spurts. But again, flashes don't scare quarterbacks. And again, if you go to the look, our defense allowed opponents to convert 45.7% of third downs. That's the third highest rate in the league. That's what happens when you can't make a quarterback uncomfortable. And if you want to survive playoff football, someone up front needs to become a real disruptor. Or multiple guys need to take meaningful steps forward. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Yeah, Marcos, I have used Pro Football Network before. It's pretty cool. I love Alex Spear as well as Rashid Shaheed. I don't see Rashid Shaheed as much as I do see Alex Spears because Rashid Shaheed was just part of a Super Bowl winning team, and he really contributed very well. Excuse me. Sorry, my allergies is killing me, man. Rashid Shaheed obviously is coming off that Super Bowl win with the Seahawks, so I don't see that. I just don't see it. I think the Seahawks will resign him. Alex Pierce is interesting. He's going to be expensive though. It lets you act as GM of your team. You re-sign, cut, restructure roster a whole lot more. It's a good site to play around with. That's the same way with stick with the model, the one that I was showing you, the GM model. It does let you do all the same things. Maybe a middle linebacker. I mean, Reginald, we need it bad. I can tell you that. Question, Clay, do we draft inside or edge in the first round? It's so hard to answer that question. It's like I think you could be asking the same question too, though, with like some of these, right? It's like which one is screwing them more? Like the run, is it the run defense? Is the defensive line? Is it the pass rush? You know, which hole is bigger? Right? When you look at it, how it's so tough. It's so tough. But I do think that when we're talking about what we need to do, right, to get this right and get us into the Super Bowl, yeah, I do think that we need to look at linebackers. All right, there's plenty of linebackers to look into. All right. There's plenty of linebackers to look into. I mean, here's a list right here. I mean, you've got so many guys. I mean, this is what they based off the NFL draft. Who is this? Who is this? NFL draft file. So this is what they believe is their ranking system of like linebackers. I mean, again, I do think that the middle of the defense has to be stabilized. Okay. I mean, I do believe that. If outside linebacker is shaky, if you could think like the outside linebacker is shaky, inside linebacker is just downright unsettling. Because the Panthers 2025 starters are anything but locks for 2026. Like Christian Roseboom is headed to free agency. I think they might re-sign him, but it would have to be on a small deal. I don't think they would sign him for a bigger deal. Trevin Wallace, again, third round pick in 2024, has yet to break out and has seen both NFL seasons end with shoulder injuries. Depth issues and injuries forced Carolina. We had to lean on players better suited for special teams. I mean, we were betting on practice squad guys, let's be honest. You're betting on a Chandler Wooden, Claudin Churlis, a Jacob Lindemann, Chris Barnes. Chris Barnes actually is a good depth. I would say he's a decent depth guy. And I think Claudin Churlis is a decent depth guy. But after that, Bam Martin Scott, Chandler Wooten, Jacob Lindemann, all those guys, if we're being completely honest, man, they are all they are practice squad players. And credit where it's credit's due. Some of them stepped up when asked. That's what I'm saying. Let's be honest. Championship defenses don't survive on emergency fixes in the middle. They just don't. You need dependable, durable presence at linebacker who can run, tackle, communicate, hold up over a 17-game grind. We haven't had enough certainty there right now, in my opinion. I think that the edge rusher, maybe, is edge rusher more important than the middle? I don't know, man. We were getting really cooked more over the middle than anything. And I think that's probably, if I had to, I'll break it down here a little bit more in a second, Trizzy. But the bottom line is, man, we aren't. Here's the thing: for Super Bowl, we aren't miles away anymore. But but we're not close enough to bullshit ourselves either. Like, if Bryce Young levels up, the offense finds a true weapon, big play weapon. Someone who can take the top off of defense. You stabilize that left tackle situation. Have that insurance policy for Icky, right? The pass rush wakes the hell up. You fix the middle of the defense, it gets fortified, then you can absolutely be in Super Bowl conversation. But if we're missing on 2 or 3 of these things that I just mentioned and that we just broke down, this is just going to be another good but not great team watching February football from the couch again. Again, the margin for error is thin. I do think that there is a clear path for this team. And now they have to actually execute it. So we'll see. But there's a lot more to it. Like, if I'm ranking the biggest needs of all, man, like if I truly feel like I'm ranking things overall, I think I have to go pass rush number 1. I even though we just said the linebacker room, and I do think the middle of the defense is important, but here's the reason why I think the pass rush is just as important. Okay. The reason why I think the pass rush is just as important is because the pass when you can't generate pressure, that's where everything falls apart, right? And I had to think about it. Like, I do think the middle of the field, I do think the middle of the field is important, but when you can't generate pressure, everything else falls apart. Coverage breaks down. So again, that's how your linebackers are going to get cooked. Third downs are getting converted. Quarterbacks are comfortable. Defense becomes predictable and soft, right? Carolina lived that nightmare all season. So the question isn't if the Panthers, address edge rusher, it's how, right? Like, most mock drafts, we're sitting at 19. So almost all of them point towards an edge rusher or a defensive lineman with the edge flexibility, whether names like Kedrick Folk out of Auburn, Cassius Howe out of A&M, Hakeem Messador out of Miami. Others consistently show up in that range, right? Then you got the free agency. Carolina has been floating as possible, landing a spot for Trey Hendrickson, which would be a massive swing if they can actually pull it off. Other veterans with gas still left in the tank, maybe they go after a Khalil Mack. I don't know about that. Or maybe Joey Bosa is also available, right? Still, the smarter move is probably the boring one, which everybody, in my opinion, maybe something to get you guys to think it's boring, but I think drafting an edge rusher, you keep cost under control. You're betting on upside. This team needs to build off of youth and hunger and long-term answers, in my opinion, not another expensive, patch work or anything like that. Um, but that's number one for me. I think edge rusher is the biggest need. I think number two, yeah, then it would be linebacker. Again, I think getting a linebacker who, if you want to argue linebacker should be the top need, you wouldn't be wrong either. Okay, like I don't think it's like you got 1A, 1B, whatever the case may be, right? Like if you want to argue linebacker should be the top need, again, you wouldn't be wrong. Again, our linebackers play was brutal in 2025, right? Especially in the coverage. Panthers ranked 28th defending short passes over the middle. We were 30th in DVOA against tight ends. Translation, our offenses were absolute running backs leaked out, untouched. Tight ends feast. Slot receivers worked the middle like it was a walkthrough. And it was death by 1,000 cuts, man. Like it happened every single week. So I think the good news is this draft class, again, it's loaded with linebacker talent. Okay. Absolutely loaded with linebacker talent, right? Just showing CJ Allen right there. He's one of my guys. He's one of my guys. What is going on? Okay. There is a big selection free agency. I think edge is in the draft. I mean, again, it's just like I was showing CJ Allen. Dude, what is going on with my computer, man? Of course, it's paused. Has run out of application memory. Avoid problems with your computer. Quit any applications you're not using. Okay, I did that. Hold on. Jesus Christ. Sorry, chat. My computer decided that it wanted to restart itself. Why that is, I don't know. What's good, Earl? All right. So let me get back to it. Like I said, like I was talking about. Linebackers again. I was just showing CJ Allen. You got CJ Allen out here. You got a bunch of list of names. Jake Golday, you know. I do like CJ Allen. One of the reasons why I'm big on CJ Allen is because of and I'm just gonna be completely honest with you guys, because we're not gonna get a Sony Styles. It's just not gonna happen, man. The reason why I like CJ Allen though is because he's out of Georgia. He's a strong against the run. He plays with a high football IQ. That's why I made a video about him. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. He can contribute immediately. He's also physical in coverage and understands how to reroute receivers into his zone. That's something that we desperately need. Free agency offers a lot, though. Like I said, you've got a Devin Lloyd who has been linked to us. I made a video about him. If you haven't checked it out yet, go check it out on the videos. Carolina would immediately upgrade the room, but he won't come cheap if the front office is willing to spend. You know, if the front office is willing to spend, he would be worth every penny. There are other veterans options too. You got Zach Vaughn, Levante David are both capable of transforming the linebacker room. I know Levante David is an old head, but again, what we're not looking for a long-term solution, you know, with a Levante David. You're just stabilizing it maybe for a year. Zach Bond, you know, he did his thing in Philly. I'm not as high on Zach Bond. I'm more of a Devin Lloyd guy. I think Devin Lloyd would be more of a long-term solution. But championship defenses don't get gashed in the middle. Carolina did, and that has to stop. But again, you can make the case for Devin Lloyd. I mean, not Devin Lloyd. You can make the case for the linebacker position to be number one, but you can also make the case that edge rusher is number one. I think edge rusher, in my opinion, is number one. Just in my opinion. All right, and then offensive tackle. I would say the next biggest need is offensive tackle, right? And I was just showing Rasheed Walker here again. Again, it goes back to the fact that compared to the defense, offensive tackle doesn't feel urgent, but you cannot ignore it. It would be a big mistake. Everything changes now with the fact of Ike Ekwonu going down in that playoff loss to the Rams. You rupture a right patellar tendon is no joke. And again, those recovery times are typically 6 to 12 months range. So that uncertainty does force us to plan ahead. Again, even if Icky is ahead of schedule or even returns on schedule, you still need depth. You're not going to play him immediately. You know the offensive line injuries pile up fast. We saw it this past year. Bryce Young can't afford protection breakdowns. So again, you got options here, especially left tackle. There are guys out there. You got Rasheed Walker from Green Bay, strong pass protector. You got Cam Robinson, who spent time with the Browns and Vikings, is another viable option. If Carolina wants to build through the draft, maybe they go after a Caden Proctor out of Alabama, who could step in at guard, which still adds value. Spencer Fano out of Utah has played both tackle spots. I mean, giving Carolina flexibility and depth. I mean, this isn't a penny move, but this is one that has to happen. All right. But here's the thing. I think we'll touch on all these positions this offseason. That's a given, but priority is obvious, ladies and gentlemen. It's defense first, defense second, defense third. And Dan Morgan knows better than anyone as a former linebacker himself. He understands exactly how destructive and bad front seven play can be, I have to expect him to be aggressive. He already said it's win now. I expect Dan Morgan to be a very aggressive. I think he's going to take a win now approach, aggressive win now approach. I really do. So appreciate everyone joining the live stream tonight. Appreciate you guys. Reginald, let's see what you said here. Let me get to some comments here. Reginald comes in and says, I see what you mean about getting younger players on this roster, especially building a team that could be really strong. Maybe we should draft defensive end in the first round. I mean, we'll see if they go that route. I mean, again, you could go linebacker. I think you got to go either edge rusher or linebacker first. I do think that there are some guys in this draft that you could get to be a Ike Ekwonu insurance policy, and you wouldn't have to spend a first or second round pick. Okay, you could wait to the third or fourth or fifth round to get that guy. I feel that. I think a lot of people are going to be targeting the linebacker and the edge rusher position because it's so stacked. Once again, head of schedule shouldn't even consider him as an option. Correct. We cannot consider Ike Ekwonu an option, even if he is ahead of schedule. Again, we know here's the thing. We know what the problems are. The solutions are available to get it right. All right. Appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Appreciate all you guys in here. Someone said something about a mock draft. Well, I guess my computer doesn't want me to do a mock draft. So I'm going to have to figure out what's going on with my computer chat. Appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Again, make sure you hit that thumbs up button on your way out. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm going to work on some shorts tonight to get out to you guys. Other than that, I'm going to log off. We'll do a mock draft at the end of the week, of course, a weekly mock draft. So again, we'll get back into it. All right. And you'll see me live probably more. So appreciate you guys. Still going to get some videos out to you as well. And then, of course, I'm going to get some shorts out to you guys as well. So, again, appreciate it, man. Glad to be back. I will see you guys on the other side. I'm out of here. Peace.